Kicking Brass, the working title of our game that's based on an image which is in a group of memes which has inspired a whole fictional universe of music, stunning art and countless other games and projects, ours being one of them. It's a top-down, 2.5D bullet hell where you dodge and weave your way through enemies' projectiles using a host of items and instruments to hopefully best them in battle.
But hold your horses, Mr. Video Game Man. That's already a lot of finished content. Please, could you elaborate? How did you even get here?
Good question, little German boy. The keen-eyed of you will also have noticed that this first Git commit is from August 2021. So, let's take one more step back and recap the beginning of our story. Let's go ask our resident programmer to help jog my memory, shall we? Peter?
Oscar?
Just real quick, off the cuff, could you sum up what we did for the game during uni in like 60 seconds?
In like 60 seconds?
Yeah, like everything we did.
Oh
fuck. Sums it up pretty perfectly, actually. But I think we can go into just a little more detail. It's the summer of 2021. The heat outside is once again record-breaking. The global health crisis is still looming, and our semester break is nearly over. We desperately needed something to look forward to. But what's this? A message from a good friend and conveniently also programmer, Peter. He says there's a game dev course next semester and he's taking part with Sloth and Earl and asks if I want to join. Golly, looks like we've got the whole band back together. We knew exactly what we needed to do. We put on our armor and got down to the nitty-gritty. Through Discord call after Discord call, we conceptualized and theorized, brainstormed till our brains looked like they had actually been struck by lightning. Dividing up the work, we had Sloth on music and story, Earl on maps and levels, Peter on code, and myself on art. We felt unstoppable. Slowly shaping what we wanted our game to be, all in preparation to pitch it to our game design professor. He loved it. Putting things into motion, we started off by creating a basic scene and character. As we had made some small game projects in Unreal before, getting a basic character controller up and running was no problem. We could also take old assets from old projects to have things not be completely naked. While Peter and I, while working on the implementation in-engine and sussing out how we wanted things to work mechanically, Sloth and Earl were shaping the world, creating characters, maps, and layouts, and even story elements. Now with this core in place, we kicked things up a notch. We went into overdrive, creating the structure for the whole first city, getting basic enemy AI, basic physics such as doors and barrels, a whole myriad of new art, animations, and even music. Our first ever designed boss makes an appearance here too, Glutamus. However, around this time is also where we came across a pitfall that was going to bite us in the ass multiple times. See, to be able to implement new mechanics that we wanted in time for our bi-monthly progress presentations, Peter really had to rush and put things into overdrive. This meant that a lot of things were held together very precariously. This wasn't a fault of his in any way, it was simply a product of the circumstances. It wasn't uncommon that when we wanted to put in a new feature, Peter would have to rework the underlying systems from the ground up. Though this made for some hilarious bugs, one even resulting in our group name, it was really a case of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We had a ton of fun working on the story, bouncing ideas back and forth and breathing some life into the world by trying to tell the story of the destruction of our first town. However, there was clearly an issue. We needed a way to test units and weapons without uprooting the whole game. This is where we fully put aside our linear story and made the Colosseum, a wave-by-wave system where you quickly get from one fight to another. This allowed us to test what we needed and led to the idea of one of our most important mechanics, formations. As you are fighting against an army, the idea came up, why don't they create interesting shapes and patterns like the Romans did? This proved to be a monstrous task. However, it also led to the natural development of a whole bunch of new enemies, as well as a whole host of new instruments and items to take care of them with. the barbaric Brassbarian, our first Colosseum boss, proved himself to be a worthy foe against our professor during one of our presentations, which he highly approved. Our project had now fully shifted. Our focus was simply making the most fun gameplay possible in the simple structure that we had. We knew that if we could get it to work here, we could once again return to our roots of a bigger world and story. For the next 3 weeks, we simply focused on making more of everything. We fell into a rhythm of working and reworking things that we had already made, simply faster and cleaner. However, all good things must come to an end. Thinking we had more time than we actually did, the end of the game dev course approached fast. What did that mean for us? Well, our final presentation was public, a games showcase spanning 3 days where anyone could come by and try our games. Getting all hands on deck, we smoothed things out to get the game to what we called version 0.03, which we allowed people to play in person, as well as making it available on our website. I myself wasn't actually there for the game's showcase in person, however CheatinSloth were, and they told me a tale. The legend of Alex. According to them, most people came and went. Maybe they tried the game for a minute or two, chatted about it, and off they would go. But one young schoolboy proved to be of a different nature. He turned up, took one look at the game, and immediately started playing at a level which even exceeded hours. 2 hours he played the game on the first day, immediately discovering an exploit which allowed him to breeze through all the way to round 29. Once his reign of destruction was over, he stood up, without a word. The laptop burst into flames. He made a phone call where he simply said one word: done. After which a stretched Lamborghini turned up, which he rode away in. Or at least, that's how I picture the day going. Apparently, he turned up the next day to finish what he had started. Having downloaded the game at home from our website, he trained for hours, and just as in the first day, he was there to absolutely destroy any enemy the game threw at him, even the round 30 boss that we put in place that you weren't meant to beat. He then vanished, never to be seen again. With our uni course over, we weren't really sure what to do. We knew we wanted to work on the game more, but we had no audience, so new versions of the game would essentially just be for us. This is when I stumbled across a whole community of people who were making games, art and music around the exact same theme. A whole community of people who we knew would share the same joy in our game as we do. The Tuber Warriors. With this knowledge in hand, as well as the feedback from the game's showcase, we knew the game would be much better played together. We had to make the game online multiplayer.
Can't be that hard, right?
This would be our first time delving into making multiplayer. We knew from others that it would be hard, but we didn't know how hard it actually was. It also dawned on us that the way the mechanics were implemented in the current version of the game, v0.03, making them function in multiplayer was simply impossible.
Could you sum up the worst parts of multiplayer? Of implementing multiplayer?
Rewriting the code of the entire game, making weapons actually function. Well, making weapons not be invisible. Actually, no, sorry, making weapons be invisible because, oh man. Yeah, making weapons be visible, making player locations not desync, giving other players the ability to fire, giving other players the ability to move their cursor, making it so that other players don't hear sounds 5 times when you're playing with 5 players, giving other players the ability to exist.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll do. Thank you.
That'll do.
Thank you.
Is that for the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
However, when things looked most dire and difficult, with such a megalithic task at hand, Peter stepped into the ring and delivered the punches of his lifetime, bobbing and weaving through Unreal Engine bugs and reworking everything. Using the old game as a guide, he essentially made the whole thing again from the ground up.
That's fucking hilarious.
In a swift few weeks, he got a new movement system, projectile systems, complex projectile pathing, a whole new projectile shatter and split system, the groundwork for all our new instruments, the foundation for all our new items, status effects like buffs and debuffs. He even restructured the formations from the ground up to allow them to be dynamic and mapped on beats, and that's not even all. However, setting things up to allow multiplayer didn't necessarily mean they would work in multiplayer out of the gate. The backend wasn't the only thing that got a facelift though. As a team we sat down together and thought of how we wanted the new versions to be structured. The biggest thing we observed by far from our showcase was that the Colosseum wasn't intuitive enough, so this was number 1 on our list for all our new changes. We reworked the Colosseum to have clearer pathing, as people tended to get lost on their way to the shops. Speaking of, we gave them a facelift too, with a whole new UI, character art and portraits. Not even their wares were left untouched. Flug sells instruments and active items, the elf siblings sell consumables and passive items, and Jerome will still provide instrument upgrades with his blacksmith skills. Musically, our wonderful sloth has been recreating all the classic kicking brass tracks in Notion 6, as well as making some new incredible compositions that you've been hearing throughout this video. You'll be hearing much more from him in future, I'm sure. The foundation is set, and though we have so much more to add and fix, we're excited to get things running smoothly and documenting it all in these devlogs. With that said, we're all caught up to where we are today.
Alright, just gonna grab a potato and some soup. Off we go! Why is nothing happening?
Because of me, you fool! Anyway, let's go.
Thank you very much for watching this first devlog video. If you liked it, then please like and subscribe. If you didn't, let us know what you'd like to see or be changed in future. We'd like to try and do these more regularly from now on and covering progress on our game. I'd like to send out a huge thank you to our Discord community members, as well as the Tuber Warriors Discord community, who have been helping us get more eyes on this project and supporting us. You can find both the Discord channels linked below. I'd also like to give a huge big ups to our professor for putting up with us for all this time and supporting us through this crazy project. See you guys next time.
That's the one.